Call of Duty Black Ops, I think everyone knows this who's ever played a game in their life. War-based battles, war-based first-person shooter. I don't like the single player in these sorts of games. I like the online multiplayer. And I got hooked completely. And it's mainly because I know a couple of people who play this game online and I just talk to them on the mic and everything. Yeah, no. Ni no Kuni, another JRPG. Reminds me a lot of Dragon Quest because of the art style. It's really nice. The art is by the Studio Ghibli people. And the voice acting is very British in a lot of instances. It's a Welsh character, which really stood out, obviously. It would. And yeah, it's known for having amazing music, amazing art, amazing characters. I don't think the story is brilliant. It starts off brilliant. The opening is really good. But then once you leave the original town, you don't really get much story throughout the game until the very end, pretty much. So it's good. It's really good and well worth a go if you like your JRPGs. Just look out, the AI in the game is bloody awful, and your characters that you're fighting alongside will just die and do the completely wrong things all the time. I know a lot of people said that about Resident Evil 5 for instance, but that actually worked out well for me. I didn't think it was that bad. Ni no Kuni has really bad AI. Look out for that, I guess. Next up, the Silent Hill remaster, which has Silent Hill 2 and 3 on it. It's not as bad as everyone says. The main fault that a lot of people found was the fog. It doesn't work quite as well in this as in the originals, mainly because they tried to change it up and change the game a bit to make it less of a HD remaster and more of a unique game in itself in terms of the graphics. Does that make sense at all? But yeah, they're both classics, complete classics, and this has the extra bit of Silent Hill 2 that was unique to the Xbox version. It's in this as well, where you play as Mary. So yeah, that's interesting to see, because I never got to try that myself, and I love it so much. I love my Silent Hill, for the most part, most of the games. Next up, Sonic and Sega All-Star Racing. This... I'm not one who likes many racing games, but I do like the cartoony style. Mario Kart, Sonic, I don't know, whatever else. So I really enjoyed this. I got it cheap, that's the only reason I got it. I platinumed it on the 360 because it was free. It was pretty much free at some point for gold members. But I got this off a mate pretty cheap, so I thought, why not? I did enjoy it, so... I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that the online is pretty much gone now. There's no point trying for that. There'll be the odd person that you come across who plays it, but I don't know. Yeah, enjoyed this stuff. Final Fantasy 13. It's almost the worst Final Fantasy. It's between 12 and 13 for me. Neither of them has a good battle system, neither of them has good soundtracks, neither of them has a good story. But at least 13 has characters that I quite like. Vanille, Hope. That's about it. Yeah, just those two really. Saz, he's good. He's a unique character that everyone seems to like, even the people who don't like 13. And it's a very much hated game. It's got an awful battle system. Awful. Very automated. Pretty much every battle is exactly the same as the others. You might switch paradigms, which are like your classes in the game, now and again, but that doesn't make up for the shit battle system that it is, where you just press X over and over and over again. Don't make choices, don't do anything like that. So, it's that. Final Fantasy 13. Final Fantasy 13 2. Now this made a huge amount of improvements over the original. It's got characters that are a bit more interesting, I think. It's got Sarah, who was the character I wanted to know more about in the first game, but they never got round to very much. They made her the main character of 13-2. This Noel, who reminds me of a Kingdom Hearts character, very much so. His clothes, his character in general. The story's still shite, just like 13, but the gameplay is a lot more addictive. The battles are faster, you get to capture monsters just like in Pokemon. Well, a little bit different, but you know, you're not going to have Pokeballs in a Final Fantasy game, you. So there's that. What else is there to say about it? I think the soundtrack is a lot better. I really like the songs with vocals. I really like those parts. So yeah, this that. What else? Right. Star Ocean: The Last Hope International. This game, I would like more if there were a lot more save points around, or if you could save whenever you wanted, because the save points are like a couple of hours in between each. You can't possibly know what you're going to be doing in a couple of hours time. Anything could happen, you know. So either you leave the PS3 on while you go off and do something and waste electricity and all that sort of crap, or you really have to plan extremely well ahead of time. And that's what I don't like about it. The battle system's fun, the characters I like, the ones that I've seen so far. The story is good enough to keep you going to find the next village or the next planet. Did I even mention it's a JRPG? I don't know if I did, but it is. But I haven't played very far because of the save system, and that's a stupid little thing. I know. But, you know, it's a good game. I do like it. 360 version used to crash a lot for me, and I don't know if that was because of the discs, or because it was, the game was a bit faulty. The 360 was good at that sort of stuff, wasn't it? Making games crash and all that. Anyway. Another American game, the last one that'll be on my collection, I think. Katamari Forever. Now, anyone who hasn't played a Katamari game, I'm not going to be able to explain this very well. It's very Japanese once again. It's where you're this little guy who rolls a ball around and picks up everything that's smaller than the ball as he rolls it. You could be in a kitchen where you're picking up peas to start with and then tables at the end, maybe. Or you could be in space and picking up stars and planets, rolling around trying to pick up more. And the more you pick up, the bigger your ball gets, and the more you can pick up, because the bigger things as your ball was small are now much smaller because your ball is bigger. Does that make sense? So it's like a puzzly thing because you're timed and everything, but it's so fun, so fun. I highly recommend it if you can stomach Japanese weirdry like King of the Cosmos, King of Space and everything, who has extremely tight trousers. Let's just leave it at that because it's quite disturbing. Dead Space 2. I have played the first, but only through PSN because it was free on Plus and everything. So Dead Space 2, not quite as good as the first, I don't think. I love the first one. Second one is still good, not quite as good as the first. Better than everything else that comes after it. I don't like any other Dead Space games other than the first two. It's a shooter, horror. Reminds me of Resident Evil 4 quite a bit, but in space. You can shoot the limbs off just like in Resident Evil 4. Yeah, over the shoulder camera like in Resident Evil 4. They took a lot from it and built upon it to make their own unique game. It's scary as hell. It makes you jump more than being scary in general. Yep, that's about all I can think of to say about that. Infamous. Everyone probably knows Infamous. It's not the most popular game in the world, but I think most people know of it. You're a superhero. You can fly around with your electricity. You can be good or evil, just like in Fable. That's about it, really. You don't have guns. It sort of reminds me of Grand Theft Auto, where you're in a city, shut down in the city, and you just travel around trying to do missions and stuff. That's pretty much what Infamous is, but you're a superhero and you have powers. Yeah. Infamous 2, pretty much the same. They improved on a lot of stuff, but I prefer the story of the first one. I prefer the first one in general, just because everything was fresh and unique, but the second one does add a bit more variety to the missions, and it's a bit easier in general, I think, including the trophies. They're the best part of the Infamous games, collecting the trophies, I think. Next up, Black Ops 2. Now, I thought Black Ops was amazing. I've been addicted to it for years now, to the online aspect, but the second one isn't as good. I don't like it very much. The maps are pretty awful except for one or two. I haven't downloaded any new maps from DLC because they're too expensive. They're way too expensive. Like, I think it's £11 or £12 for a couple of maps. I'm not paying that much, and I never have. So yeah, it's pretty much the same as the first one, just they made a couple of changes, and unfortunately the couple of changes they did make, while it made the game more modern, it just made it worse in general. Made it harder, made it worse. Made it more campy. People can camp around the place, just stay in one space around the map and win by doing that. I don't like it when games do that. Modern Warfare 2, I actually picked this up for a couple of months back. Because I liked it on the 360 back when I had that, once again. It's good. It's very campy, just like Black Ops 2, but I do like the maps on it. And if more people I knew played it, then I would play it as well online. Next up, Silent Hill Homecoming. It is another American one, I forgot about that. But that's only because I got it by accident. I got the American version by accident. I meant to get the British version, but it works on the British PS3 regardless. Everyone knows Silent Hill. This is the game that sort of changed the formula a bit, started changing the formula a bit, and made it more actiony maybe. But even though it's actiony, it didn't go as bad as in Resident Evil, where at least this has aspects of horror in it. They tried to make it horror and keep it Silent Hill. It doesn't have any trophies on the PS3 version, but there are achievements on the 360 version. I love this game so much, so much. But it would be better with trophies, that's what I'm saying. I'm not a trophy whore by any means, but sometimes games need trophies to keep them interesting, I think, so that you don't miss out on certain things in the game. Yeah, really good, really enjoyable. Alice Madness Returns. I've always had a thing for Alice in Wonderland and things like that, and this is a very dark, bloody, gothic, British, sort of Londonish, maybe I should say, version of Alice in Wonderland, where she's in a nut house because of what happened in Alice in Wonderland in the original Disney film. I think that was the point. Or was it? But yeah, it's sort of like Tim Burton's version of Alice. Very dark, very gothic. I mean, it's a platformer. The gameplay isn't brilliant, I'll admit that much, but I do love the atmosphere, the story, the characters. I really like it, personally. Rayman Origins. Now this is just like Rayman Legends. If you're going to get either Rayman Origins or Legends, get Legends, because Rayman Legends has a lot of the levels from Origins anyway, so you might as well just get Legends. If you get either of them. But this is still fun on its own. I hear that this is free on the American PSN store right now. Definitely grab it. I mean, there's no reason why not to. It's fun as hell. Okay, something that's similar to Rayman Origins and Legends is Sonic Generations. It's the same sort of feel to it. Sort of throwback to the classic days. Sonic Generations is known for being the best Sonic for a long, long time, alongside Sonic Colors. And that's mainly because it's got the old levels in it, but you can either play them in 2D or 3D. And it's completely your choice. You do both, you get more trophies. You know, it's brilliant, bloody brilliant how they did it without ruining the game. The last one I've got is Eternal Sonata. Now, I've made a Let's Play of this, so a lot of people will know I've got this anyway. There are no trophies for this once again, but there are achievements on the 360 version, which are hard as hell to get, some of them anyway. So, it's a JRPG based on Frédéric Chopin, the actual composer who died, well, ages ago. And a lot of his music is in the game. A lot of history parts are in the game. It's brilliant. The art style is like Disney-ish, I guess you could say. Very anime-ish, Tales-ish. Like the Tales of series, it's got the same sort of art style. The characters are so well designed. The areas are so well designed. The bosses are fun, the battles are fun. PS3 version is a bit harder than the 360 version. It's got some extra secret. It's got an extra secret dungeon. It's got 2 extra characters. Very nice. Yeah, that's about it really. I was a bit disappointed in this version just because the difficulty was so much higher, and that means that the battles go on for so much longer. And that was my main critique of Final Fantasy 13 as well. The battles went on for too long. The, wild battles, the random encounters. But it's fun. It is such a good JRPG if you can get it. I did have more for the PS3, but I have been swapping them in for the newer ones, which are by here. And that's what I do. Once I complete the game and know I won't be going back on it, and it's not one of my favourite games in the world, then I'll stop playing it and swap it in for something else. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this video. These videos, I am sure that I'll be splitting it up into 2 parts and putting them on one day after the other, yeah? I'll be putting one up today, the day that I recorded it, and I'll be putting one up tomorrow when I won't be uploading an episode of Final Fantasy VI. So that's my collection of PS3 games. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I hope it hasn't been too dull at all for you. It wouldn't surprise me if it is, just because, I don't know, there's a lot going on. I don't know. Give me a comment about how it went, because if it went okay, then I might make one for my Wii games or DS games. I don't know, whatever you want. Give me a request. Do what you like. It's been Greeny XI. I hope you've enjoyed. I'll see you again in a bit.